everybody, and welcome to Coffee with the President for October. I'm Patrice Caldwell, and I'm very happy that you joined this morning, or you will join this morning. I hope, since it's only going to be mid-50s today, that you've got your cup of hot cocoa or tea or coffee, and you're ready to have a chat. So if you've got any questions, I hope you'll add them to the chat line, and I'll do my very best to answer any question that you have. So thanks again for joining. So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on at Eastern. We are getting smarter about COVID-19 every day, smarter and more resourceful about protecting our students and our staff and our community from this disease. And by the way, we hosted a flu drive-through event with our friends La Casa Family Health Center, and we had people stick their arm out the door of their car and they injected them, and we had our students and our staff go through. It was a really wonderful event. So we're protected here, and I hope you're protected wherever you are, because that's where we're going to keep this pandemic from getting even more complicated with flu. So speaking of drive-thrus, matching drive-thrus, our students, our very resourceful students over in student government, are going to be hosting a drive-through food drive. That's very hard to say quickly, but the drive-through food drive will be a way that we can reach out, sort of virtually, but then very realistically, to needy families in our area over the Thanksgiving and maybe even Christmas holidays. And who knows, we might even sneak a toy into that box of food when we send it out. So I really respect that our students are always thinking about others, not just their own needs or what they want to do, but the needs of others in our community. And I think that's really great. Let me tell you about another initiative that actually Campus Life put together, and that is the Cooking With series. This is pretty hilarious because the first one of the series was conducted by Dr. Pathology Borusnikal, affectionately known as Dr. Pat, and he's a faculty member in business, and he prepared yum yum Thai salad and pan-fried noodles, and he did the whole thing on video, and you could feed 3 for $8. Such a deal as that. And he was wonderful, just incredibly fun to watch and engaging. So he did that earlier this month, and Dr. Ayala, Mary Ayala, is going to take on Italian wedding soup later in November, and I'm sure that will be equally fun. So those are two ways that our faculty and our dean are reaching out and sharing a little bit of their personal lives with students, and I think it's just a great idea.
I'm not sure what's happening here. Sorry, everyone. I'm Todd Fuqua. I'm on camera, running the camera here. I've got a mic over here that I'm trying to move closer to her. Everyone's saying they can't hear you,
Okay.
so I don't know what's happening. We're gonna try here.
Okay. Well, I hope you heard about cooking with Dr. Pat and Mary Ayala, because I really think we could all learn something from Mary. And Dr. Pat,
Hold on, Leo, that's me breathing through the mask, sorry. For some, maybe if I just move the phone away from me. Okay, we'll try that.
Are we doing better now?
I'm not supposed to be the one doing this, so it's all brand new to us.
But we're very glad to have Todd with us, and thank you for personing the video camera.
Trying,
Todd.
having to hold it with my hand and everything,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, good. All right, so we'll move on.
I'm sorry.
That you're still with us. Okay. So the other thing, a couple of other things that Campus Life is doing. Halloween is coming up, and I think we all need to buy each other candy. Just take it home and eat it. You don't have to open the door to anyone. But ASAB is sponsoring a night of terror. Yes, a night. Of course, you have to stay home and watch virtually The Invisible Man. Have you ever seen that movie? It's really scary. So 500 students are going to be able to log in and watch that movie for free, and that will be a way of our celebrating our virtual Halloween. We're also doing some virtual workshops that are very popular with students. They're sponsored by the Advising Center, and one of them was called Test Busters, and that was before midterms. And then after midterms, we'll sort of do a few workshops about recovering from midterms. But it's just a really good way of reminding students how to prepare for the next semester, how to check their progress toward their degree, and it's really practical help. They can ask questions during that workshop, really practical help about keeping on pace to complete your degree. We think that's a really important part of how we're helping students get through the pandemic.
You know what? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Again, I'm just going to unplug this mic and hopefully
Okay.
maybe that'll work. Hopefully they'll be able to hear you better now. Okay, go ahead.
Any better? Let's just hope it is. So let's just give you a little idea of some of the fun things we're doing. Now let's transition into some did you know issues, okay? And this relates to academic and educational programming, but did you know that we have a new, relatively new, renewable energy emphasis in our EET program? Well, we do. And you know we're right in the middle of a great many wind and solar energy projects, and so this seems like a very timely emphasis for us. And our professor who's in charge of this, Dr. Alamazada, is just a little dynamo, see that? Renewable energy is dynamo. He's a dynamo about finding internship opportunities and taking students to the next step in terms of this new energy that's going to be really important to New Mexico and to economic development. Did you know that we're developing an associate's degree in speech language pathology? This is really new. It'll be, I would think, the first one in the state, and it will allow students with an associate's degree to still do some of the clinical work that our students do when they have a speech language pathology major. Now this means you can work with students in schools, you can work with geriatric clients in nursing homes, you can work with stroke victims with speech rehabilitation. So many fields that are very important to all sectors of our population. But this will allow some of that work to be completed by people with an associate's degree. Of course, we also have a bachelor's and a master's degree at Eastern, but this completes that whole kind of spectrum of care and clinical expertise. So very exciting to have that opportunity. As you probably, I hope you know, November is Native American Heritage Month, and I have some items in my office that certainly reflect that. You know, New Mexico is 23 Indian tribes, 19 Pueblos, 3 Apache tribes. Very close to our heart is Mescalero Apache tribe up in Mescalero and Ruidoso. And of course we have one of the largest Native American nations, Navajo Nation, in both New Mexico and in Arizona. To recognize this, we'll have several events during November, but I'm very excited that we will have Stephanie Salazar, the General Counsel of the New Mexico Native American Department of the state of New Mexico, and she will be giving a virtual presentation to us about the plight of New Mexico women missing and frankly murdered. This is a national crisis, but she is an expert on this field, and she will tell us a little bit about those statistics and what New Mexico is doing to help women in these situations, many of them in very rural or remote areas of the state or the region. And I think that will be a really eye-opening experience. We're very, very happy to have secured her willingness to be with us during November, virtually, but still a very important event. Okay, did you know that we have an aviation program at Eastern? Yes, we do. Some of you may remember that back in World War II, we had aviation programs at Eastern. taught pilots, had a runway out by, actually out by the old stadium on Highway 70. So there's a lot of history with aviation and the military at Eastern. But this aviation program is actually a completer program. So if you already have a pilot's license and some training, you can complete a bachelor's degree in aviation science. Well, that program has grown 33% just in the past 2 years. So a very popular area, I think a very important area for Homeland Security, and also the needs of bringing our economy back to, let's say, its normal course. So a very important, I think an important program. And then I'm going to tell you now a little bit about our faculty, because did you know that they're still publishing, they're still doing research, both on their own and with students? And I think that's a really important signature of Eastern, that just because we have a pandemic going on doesn't mean that faculty and staff aren't working very hard. So I don't know if you saw the virtual video, the video that Dr. Duran Pollock made. He's an entomologist. So he showed us some of the bugs he collects. I'm sorry, perhaps bugs is not the technical term, but he collects predator insects landing on top of the prey, and then he collects both of them, and he has over 900 specimens. So he has a ton of specimens, and he's actually got over 9,700 specimens, and he's hoping to get to 10,000. So we're really rooting him on with that. It's a fabulous collection. But you may think that this is not really research. Well, the local robber flies, which is what they're called, are very important to the state of New Mexico. So he's a very important researcher in that area. I also want to mention Mr. Greg San, one of our artists in the art department, has a fabulous display. And instead of having a walk-through display, which of course you can do, it's also displayed in the windows of the Golden Student Success Center. So if you're walking around campus at night, you can go by that lighted window and you can see this fabulous display of his work. It's called Body Parts, but you won't be offended. It's perfectly okay for you to go and see. Take the kids, it's okay. And it's beautifully led by Brian Hahn, the Runnels Gallery sort of curator, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous art show, and I encourage all of you to see it. I also want to mention one of our students who authored an article that was published in the American Choral Directors Association magazine, and it talks about the impact of not being able to do ensemble work during the pandemic. A really thoughtful and wonderful exploration by one of our students about how music and song are so important to students who are here, and how much they miss having that ensemble experience. Even though they can have private lessons and you can do it virtually, it's not the same. I've been talking a lot. If you have questions, remember you can chat and send those questions in, and as I say, I'll be happy to answer. As I'm looking at this iPhone in front of me, it reminds me of the theater production that's coming up in November that all of us will really relate to. It's called You're on Mute. How many times have people said that to you? You're in a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting and no one can hear you. Okay, well, You're on Mute is going to be they're calling these devised theater. Not interesting, devised theater. Anyway, it's going to be a fabulous show, and I think you'll have the opportunity to see this, but keep watching the website, because we'll be able to show that link, and if you register for it, you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to see that performance. I think it'll be very, very cool. And then maybe we will all remember that too often we are on mute, and we should get off mute so that we can be heard and we can communicate.
Yeah. I shifted, by the way, because that light's kind of in your face. I wasn't sure if I could do
Yes,
anything about that.
It's morning in America here, so yes, the light comes in the window. No, it's really wonderful. I think I look better with natural sunlight, don't you think, Kelly? Yeah. I think
Well, I mentioned earlier, I'll tell the people here, that Dr. Caldwell might be the most adorable president this university's had, but I think Dr. Matheny probably beats her in that department.
Yes. You know,
But you're a close second,
well,
Dr. Caldwell.
Thank you so much. Yes, we walk down the halls every day and look at the pictures of the first ladies and the presidents that are on the wall in right outside the president's office in the administration building. And some of those pictures are fabulous. I mean, Dr. Matheny has a kind of sepia tone. Sandra Matheny looks like a movie star. Wouldn't you agree with that, Tom?
Yes.
Anyway, it's wonderful. Next time you're on campus, and I hope that will be very soon, come by and see those great pictures. It's really fun to see them.
Yeah, they've been redone. They rehung them all and put them in so that all the current they're all up to date is what I'm saying. Yes.
They're all up to date. We also dusted them.
Yes, they did need that.
Little things, but they were really high up and hard to get to, so it looks very nice. It's a very nice job by our physical plant, and it's really a great thing.
All right. Well, no one's really asking questions. They're just commenting. Some people said they saw Ronnie Roach actually said she'd seen Greg's exhibit yesterday. Very interesting there.
Oh, I'm so glad, Ronnie. It is great.
Iris Fern said, yes, being on mute is horrible.
Yes, it is.
Sandy Gladden, very happy to hear about the Associates for Communication Disorders.
Yes, Sandy, I agree.
And, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Sandy reminds me, we don't talk enough about the ENMU system. And so I'd just like to give a shout out to our two sister campuses. Sometimes they call us the mothership, but we call them the sister campuses. So, or at least I call them the sister campuses. We have a wonderful president at the Ruidoso campus, Ryan Trosper. Does great things with the community. He's doing a radio show and talking to folks, and I think Ruidoso is just perched on the brink of doing some really great things, not only with Mescalero, but with industry in the area, and I'm just so excited at the partnerships we're going to be able to develop there and the work that they are doing with the community. It's fabulous. They're also starting an RN program that will be hosted out of Roswell, which is a fabulous thing to do and a great need in the state. We have a wonderful president at ENMU Roswell, Dr. Sean Powell, and his wonderful president. Roswell, of course, is a very well-established, they've been there since the 1950s, so they know their community and their community knows them, but I think we have a wonderful potential here for connecting and developing some programs that we can spread out to the state, and I would particularly mention teacher education. Professional development school sites both in Roswell and in Portales have really been such important connections for our teacher education program and our area schools. And we just want to expand that and make that as strong and as productive as we can to serve the state of New Mexico and to put the best possible teachers in the most important room in America, and that's classroom. So, hi Sandy, hi Roswell, hello Ruidoso, just happy to have you, happy to be part of a system that you are in.
You mentioned Ruidoso. Yeah. I helped that gentleman move into his house when they moved to Ruidoso because I was still there at the time.
You did.
Met his whole family. They're wonderful people.
They are. Yes, we're glad you came down from the mountain, Todd. But I told Ryan Trosper, Ryan, you may need to give me find a safe house for me if things get too hot in Portales. I think I'll just come up to the cool mountains and stay up there with you. But,
so now Ronnie Roach has asked, or Ronnie Birdsong has asked, and you've been avoiding it, what is the plan to bring the athletes back to campus?
So the athletes are back in a very careful way. For example, right now, as we speak, the basketball team, men's and women's, they are meeting with their coaches. They're practicing in pods of 5 or fewer. They're doing conditioning. They're working with their coaches on strategies, and I think they're doing a very good job of preparing for competition. Now, the issue of competition, as you know, is a fractured debate in the state of New Mexico and actually in Lone Star Conference. But we will be moving to the next group of athletes next week. We're doing testing. We're doing daily health monitoring, not only for the students, but for the coaches working with them and the training staff. So we're being hyper-vigilant about this, and the students have been great. They want to come back, they want to see each other, so they are preparing for competition, and the other groups will roll in next week. And we're really hoping that we have the opportunity to actually have some competition. I know a lot of you follow the Albuquerque Journal, and so you know that UNM was all ready to go and play football in Colorado, and that was canceled. Now, the governor has a right to do that, and the public health department has a right to set new restrictions on our testing and what's acceptable. And we're going to follow that because we're a state entity, and we're going to follow the rules of the governor and the New Mexico Public Health. But I think we all would like to see those athletes doing what they really want to do, and I think that's compete. But they're pretty happy to be back together again and just practicing together, back in the arena, back on the soccer field, wherever they want to be. So that's the story for athletics, and it's a changing landscape, I'll tell you. So stay tuned.
And Ronnie Bird's song says, "Sounds like a great plan."
Well, we hope so. We hope the governor agrees with our great plan, too.
Mm-hmm. And Kathy Rowland Durand is now watching, so I wanted to say hi to her because I haven't seen her in some time, so I just wanted to say hello. Nothing else, though. Everyone else is just either watching or listening raptly to your speech.
Raptly. Oh, I love that. Oh, I just love that. Well, the great thing about having so many of you tune in and listen and keep up to speed with what's going on campus is that, everybody says, well, Eastern's the best kept secret, and they're down on the east side, and nobody knows they're there. Well, but you know what? That's really not as true anymore. So I'll just give you one example of that. The Legislative Finance Committee, as many of the legislative committees, are meeting periodically, even though they're not in session and will not be until January. And they are taking a very careful interest in higher education. As you know, we experienced some cuts at the last legislative session, which worried us a great deal. Because in the face of the pandemic, we had a lot of costs we hadn't anticipated, having to do with testing and sanitizing and deep cleaning dorm rooms and things like that. So that was a concern. But I would just like to say that I think the legislature, and particularly the Legislative Finance Committee, is really showing a sincere interest in higher education and in our opportunity and our ability to be part of the solution, not part of the state's problem. And I think that's a really important recognition.
Okay, Robert Graham asks, are there any innovations teachers or students have said they've achieved during this pandemic?
So one of the, I think, interesting recognitions has been that when our student teachers did their student teaching in spring, and now while they're doing it in fall, the teachers who are in those classrooms are recognizing that our students have a much greater comfort level with online than they themselves do. And so that partnership, I think, has opened the eyes of both sides about that online is really very doable, and that partnering on it may be a really smart way of dealing with the pandemic. Our students, who of course are very familiar with online, I don't think they realized how much help they could be just talking a fourth grader through how you upload their essay or something like that. They know how to do that, but when you have to really think about, okay, I'm in fourth grade, I'm all alone here with this computer, I need to know how to do this. So I think both have realized that they can, teachers and our student teachers can help each other, and that our student teachers have realized they have a whole new avenue for helping students by helping them feel comfortable online.
Hey, my high school classmate, I guess you could say, Ed Miller, just came on. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Ed.
Ronnie Birdsong, very active today. What about the GO bond?
Thank you for mentioning the GO bond, Ronnie. The GO bond. On the 2nd of November, New Mexico voters have the opportunity, if they've not already taken it, to really help out not only our economy, but higher education with a vote on the GO bond. The GO bond will plow $156 million into the economy of New Mexico, helping every institution of higher education in the state. Fabulous opportunity with no tax dollars assessed in order to do this great work. So it's a win-win-win. Huge win for the ENMU system. Money will go to Roswell to help them with some security, video surveillance, and some other security issues on campus. It will go to Ruidoso to help them with some infrastructure, and it will help Eastern New Mexico University Portales with the renovation of the Roosevelt Science Center. And we talked about this last month, but I am daily reminded by future students at Eastern who are, like 11 and 12, that they really want to get back and see the Natural History Museum and see how those snakes are doing and how the rabbits are doing and all of that. So a lot of our students know Roosevelt Science Center because of the Natural History Museum. But of course our students know it for the great collections, classrooms, and faculty research labs that are housed there. A vote for the GO bond, which is issue B on the back of your ballot, issue C, which is on the back of your ballot, is really a vote for the future and a vote for our students. Remember to issue B, which is for libraries, and there isn't a one of us that isn't a better person because of libraries in our lives. So when you think of helping the state and helping yourselves, please think of issue B and C on the ballot. So whether you vote early, absentee, by mail, however you wish to do it, or in person, don't forget those very important bond issues. Thank you, Ronnie.
All right, real quick, Cindy Kermerle, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She's a vocal student.
Yes.
And I know her from the church. So she's asking, what can students expect for next semester? Additionally, what can we do to help us be in person come the spring semester?
Yes. So best thing we can do to be in person in spring, and I mean 100% in person, is to get a control on this virus. Tamp it down, wear our masks, be healthy, do whatever we are asked to do by public health. And as a vocal performance major, I know you appreciate that vocal performance, no matter how great your internet is not the same as in person. So we know our vocal students are coming back. Our instrumentalists are coming back to practice in the building. It's hard to take a piano home. So they come back and they can use the building, they can meet with faculty by appointment, and I think that has really helped the music program. We want to expand that in spring and to figure out ways to work on ensemble. Might be small, but Mr. Seifert is already on a committee that's exploring how we can safely do not just vocal but instrumental ensemble work. And I think that kind of research that's going on really all over the world. China has done some incredible work with the spray that comes out of wind instruments. I mean, that's pretty cool. So thank you for that question, and we really do appreciate the local and instrumentalist musicians who want to come back, and we want to help them come back.
Well, we've hit 30 minutes here, and so one last quote or comment from Ed Miller. Very grateful for this love message, Dr. Caldwell. He meant to write live message because he said that later. But you know what, Ed? No, this is a love message from the second most adorable president this university's had.
Thank you. And thank you, Ed. It's nice to see you virtually, and thanks to all of you who jumped in. I'll look and see who did, and I really appreciate that. Take care of yourselves. Keep Eastern in your thoughts and minds and prayers. We're trying to do the best we can for you and for our students. Keep everybody safe. Keep yourself safe. And have a great rest of the day.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.